Welcome to Super Simple Security Principles, where you learn how to think about online security, not just which apps to install. Okay, so I've been getting lectured already. We're just starting this recording. I've been getting lectured about what I said before show. So I'll still share it, but I'm Nick Jackson, here to learn along from my good buddy and Master Guardian, McConaughey Mason. This is episode 104. 104. And it's the 3 types of email aliases. So what I said prior to the show is I'm excited to hear what the 3 types are. Because for me, I can remember 3 types. And this is kind of my opportunity to kind of get that, like, you know how, this is going to sound bad, but have you ever wanted to be like the superhero of a story? Somehow you saved the world.
Why does that sound bad? Of course. Who hasn't?
Okay, good. Well, I do it all the time. I'm like, I hope I saved the world. You know, I like hope I dream about it. But anyhow, I get excited because I'm like, I've always thought, what are the aliases I would use to be the superhero of the world, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I was pretty pumped when you threw out there, okay, we're going to be talking about the 3 types of email aliases, and immediately into my brain popped the idea. Superhero status.
Yeah. Well, and aliases are kind of the superheroes of the email world in a way, I would have to say. So.
Right, like Superman. That's what they call the movies. They don't call it Clark Kent.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No,
Iron Man. They don't call it Tony Stark.
Right.
They call him Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is our chance to build some aliases and do some hero work, man. Hero work for ourselves, but
yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't want to create an alias to protect yourself? Let's go, folks. You should be excited now, right? Everybody should be off their chairs cheering.
That's right. You can think about being a superhero when you're creating email aliases.
Nobody's going to take my information. I'm going to protect it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Good times. I like it. Appreciate that. Good way to start off. Oh, man. Funny.
Good way to start off, and then I leave you going, how do I begin?
No, we're good, because last week we introduced them, and I just want to repeat what I said then, and that is that this terminology of alias, I mean, people talk about aliases in the tech world for sure. That term isn't mine. But me calling these 3 things and these 3 types and kind of grouping them together is more my thing.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, each of the 3 types is, especially the first one compared to the second and third, but they're pretty different anyway.
Yeah.
But they do all serve that purpose that we discussed last time, and obviously in the superhero context of protecting your true identity, or in this case, your real email address. And so that's why I feel justified in calling them aliases, all 3 of them. And partly it's because they're sometimes confused between the different types and whatever. And so if I figure we just call them all aliases and then just teach you what they are, regardless, if you understand each of the 3, then regardless of the words that whatever service uses to describe what they offer, hopefully you can understand what they're talking about, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. I like it.
So obviously last week we talked about all the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So now I just want to introduce the 3 types, and then in the upcoming episodes, we'll get into a bit more detail about how you use them, more how they work, some what providers there are, and some gotchas and things like that. So the first type I call disposable, like a burner phone kind of idea, a disposable alias or a disposable email address. And what that means for email is they're very short-lived aliases. You don't keep these around. It's not like a Superman one, right? Like you keep forever. This is a very short
Right.
one, often used for receiving just a single email.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So imagine, you want to download something and you're never going to deal with this place again. You want this download or whatever, and they want your email address. You can put that in, whatever, right?
I got an example.
Yeah.
Car
Go ahead.
business, right?
Yeah.
Car business is going to want an email that they can send you all the documents to your new purchase car, right?
Yeah.
Problem is most car companies hawk your information to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that has anything to do with cars.
Yeah.
So you want your documents that you just bought this new car. You want to know your terms and conditions, everything, the price, everything that it was. So you
Yeah.
use this one-time alias to get that one-time email with the information you need. From there, you could essentially shut it off if you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good use case for aliases. If it's really just one email from them, then that would work. But that sounds like a case where I'd probably want it to last for a little bit longer than that, just in case, there's multiple times where they're setting up to begin with, and then get rid of it. So that's the disposable one. I mean, it depends on exactly the service you use, but there's some unique security trade-offs also with disposable. And in
Yeah,
the context of a car, that would not be my go-to. Um, I mean, there's one anyway. We'll talk about that more next episode. But
sounds good.
you're right on the money in terms of using an alias. That
Okay.
is the perfect example. And the fact is, and we'll talk about this more later, but the other two types, um, they they can be used as disposable as well. I mean, ultimately,
Oh, nice.
all aliases are intended to be disposable if needed, if they ever get compromised, if they ever get abused. And so they're all inherently disposable. But
Okay.
the ones I'm calling disposable specifically, I mean, maybe a better term even, right? Obviously, is um, burner or short-lived or temporary or something like that, where specifically, because the disposable part, like I said, it really applies to all of them. But these ones, the services and the trade-offs that I'm thinking of specifically with this category, they're very short-lived.
Okay.
So yeah, that's probably my bad on that explanation and name. So we'll
At
rework
least
that.
I was
So
catching the
that's
concept. I was
no,
catching the concept.
yeah, exactly. Right. Like I said, I think that's my bad. So good we have our trial run on you so we can work out the names, because I think something that's more about how long they lived. They live,
Yeah.
almost, I mean, actually, single use email is another way we could call it, even though they can be used for more. But anyway.
Okay.
So, second type is what I call a forwarding alias. And obviously, one of the differences is they typically stay around for longer. And the way that works is when an email is sent to one of those aliases, the email gets passed along to your real email address.
Nice.
Okay. So, and we didn't talk about the mechanics of disposable. We'll talk about that next episode, but that's different than how disposable works.
Okay.
But the key thing is when that email gets passed along, the original sender never knows what that final destination, your real email address is. They don't know that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. It's what we're doing with my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like I'm just having it forwarded to my real email address, but I've got a different email address that it goes to first. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And then the third and last type is what I call an integrated alias. And in most ways, they're very similar to forwarding aliases. The big difference is how the forwarding process works. And again, we're not going to get into the specifics today. The main thing is that the integrated alias is the route to the forwarding part is Shorter, simpler, more secure.
Okay.
The main thing I would say too is like the integrated aliases. These are by far my preferred choice of alias, and the one like I've used almost exclusively for many, many years.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Okay.
what we'll. But especially if you want to just try things out, you're unsure, you want to learn a little more about them. There are absolutely use cases for the disposable and forwarding if you don't, you're not ready to do integrated. Anyway, we'll get into all that in future episodes, but they all have a role to play.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
All right. So remind me the three and
We're gonna
how the
call it.
best fit.
Yeah, well, the best fit, we're going to talk about that in the upcoming episodes, but the
Okay.
first one is we're going to call short-lived for now.
Okay.
It may work out that name, but short-lived, forwarding, and integrated.
Perfect. Okay. So we got those three.
Yeah.
Look, my recap has been for quite some time I've had email forwarding. I appreciate it. I like it. 90% of the time, I don't use the information I get. I quickly delete it. But I at least know the sender that it's coming from. And 10% of the time, I do want what's sent to me. So is there a lot of fluff that comes in? Yes. But there's 10% that's really pretty valuable that I like. And so for me, it's worth having. That's why I do the forwarding. So it goes to my personal account, but also so that when it comes in, I am aware. I'm either going to click delete or I'm going to read through it and take my time with it. So, yeah, for me, these are great opportunities, right? These are three chances that we have to really help protect ourselves. And yeah, I love it.
Thank you. Yep, exactly.
What about your recap? What do you think?
Uh, I don't know. I didn't really have anything else to add. Yeah, I usually go first because I've been kind of adding it as I wrap up my main content there.
I know.
Yeah. Sometimes
Okay.
I then have more thoughts after you, but nothing's really coming to mind.
Look
I
at that. I
Yeah,
stumped the Master Guardian. He's got no further thoughts.
yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I like it, man. That's a good building block for next week. Be a really good one.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, man. That was a good one.
Are you ready to take action and wondering where to start? Get my Bulletproof My Identity Starter Kit for free. The 7 most vital layers of protection everyone needs. I'll send you one step at a time and help you if you get stuck. Just go to bulletproofmyid.com and enter your name and email, and I will send you the first step. Again, that's bulletproofmyid.com.